welcome to the Art Shop. This is Deb. I'm Liz. I know you all know us already, but we'll introduce ourselves. Thank you for coming along tonight. These demo nights are really fun for us to be able to use the materials and actually give them a go, and you guys all to have a feel of them as well. These are all products that we know you walk past them in the shop and you're like, that's a box. Yes, what is the box? No idea. So the whole point of this is to have a play and really see how they can be applied. So Artgraph is one of those, and Deb's a whiz. So I'm going to hand it over to Deb, and I'm going to have a draw while she chats. And then after about 15 minutes, I'm going to have a chat, and she can have a play, and then we can all have a play, which is great. And over to Deb.
Thanks, Liz.
No worries.
Okay, so we're going to be looking at the Artgraph. This is a graphite stick, and basically you would just, do your whatever drawing you want to do. And obviously for me, I do lots of different things, so, faces are not always my thing, but that's okay. I still thought I would do it.
Faces are my own
Because I'm
thing.
that,
You
yeah, I
can't
know. And that's why I was like, well, I'm with Liz,
Faces
she
are my
does
own thing.
faces. But hey, why not? Anyway, so basically you would then just wet it. So it's like a regular kind of one. I think I'm going to use a different brush. But what happens with this one is that unless you're putting a lot of water in there, you're still going to see the lines, okay? But in some situations, that's not a bad thing. But what you can do is, if you're not so much into the drawing side, because from a mixed media point of view, I would use these to sort of make extra lines on top when I'm near the end of what I'm creating. So I wouldn't necessarily draw just that. But then the other way to do it is to use this little tin, which comes in a little box like this. And that would be a different way of doing it, where it's literally just painting it on. So if you didn't like the lines, you could actually just paint this on. Okay, so it's just a different way of application, and that's what I'll be aware of from that point of view. It's just what makes me feel better. Do I like the pencil? Do I like, which one do I like? Then we've got this one here, which is the Artgraph Soft Carbon. Now, this one I only recently tried because I hadn't seen it before, but this is very interesting because you literally don't need to push hard, okay? I'm just doing very loose kind of leafy thing, and sorry, sometimes I battle to talk and draw, okay? Don't mind me. But you'll see that if I had to make this, let's just do this quite a little bit darker here. So look at how dark this is. This is really dark. Okay, so you could get a really heavy, dark sort of shape going on with this. So that's actually, it's quite nice for, especially if you're doing sort of illustrative work and you're wanting to do outlines, or you're wanting to keep it loose. I like to keep things loose even if I'm just playing around, because I don't know, it just makes me not get too precious with the artwork, and it helps me to just, I don't know, be open to creative ideas and things. So I'm doing this real fast so that you can just get an idea. Okay, so it's nice and dark, and I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll paint that on the other side when Liz is busy. Okay, and then I wanted to show you, so that's the carbon, this pencil here, and now I wanted to show you with the actual pigment blocks is what they are. So these ones here, these are Artgraph, like just a pigment. It's a solid pigment, looks kind of like a tailor shape, but it's really dense. You can see I had to do some earlier because I want to show you something that's dry, okay? So I just started to do that, but you can see how dense this color is. And yeah, so you would use them, you can use them as a stick, like where you can do marks directly on your artworks. You don't have to always add any paint to that. You can just use them for mark making. You can see how pigmented they are. And then where's the, let's keep it pigmented. No, I can't, it's
That's all right.
sticky.
Baby wipes, artist's best friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the white one is particularly fun. The white one, I will show you in one of my watercolor things. The white is the most popular. It's often people come in and use this for when they're doing watercolors. It's a really solid pigment, okay? So once again, you can just use the that actual part, or you can grab some white. You can see it's covering it really well, and then just do your dots. And while we're on that, I will show you. So this is using this was using what are they called, Gansai Tambi watercolors, okay? And literally, so I haven't done, this has been hanging around for a little while, but you can paint in there, and this is what a lot of watercolor artists use with, they just do some white.
So how would that differ to using gouache?
It's just a solid pigment, and it will dry and it won't re-wet, whereas gouache will re-wet. This, once it's dry, it's dry. Okay, so it does, it is pretty good. The other thing that you can use it on is just like, what happens is I always clean off my palette. And so I just do other things on here. So what you can do is just pick up a color and go, and this is acrylic paint. So you can put it on acrylic paint, you can put it on watercolor, you can put it on ink. This is ink, and I'll tell you what kind of ink it is now. Hang on, it's eclat ink. Eclat?
Yeah.
Éclat, éclat. The T is silent because it's French. Éclat. Now, in English, rather similarly, éclat, éclat. And now you know.
Kind of like eclair, like the food, but just less fancy sounding.
But it's actually really vibrant, super vibrant. But you can still pick up the colors and look how solid this is. It's really solid. So I'm pretty impressed with the fact that the pigment is actually a really solid pigment, and once it's dry you can then just go over it and it does not be wet. Okay. Same with I haven't tried the you mean this black? Yeah. Yes, same with that. I try to rub it out.
Once you've drawn with that and you've wet it stays.
Yes, the only thing is that if you haven't wet it enough, it might pick up a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so really, this here is just me. I don't need to do a whole lot here. I'll do it more on the other side, but it's just showing you that you can, it is a nice, deep, dark color. And you can also then mix the colors as well. I'm not noted for my talent in this area.
Stop.
But
Awesome.
no, mixing colors. So this was me trying to mix green. Now, okay, I did not have a yellow, so in my defense, I still haven't quite managed it. that colour there. See, it was
Oh, it's
supposed
not
to
bad.
be
That's a
green.
teal.
Yeah, but I had to use this like brown ochre
Yeah.
sanguine with
Yeah.
the blue, right? So,
That's a good.
I might have done a little bit of it. So like, you know, you can just pop it in one of these little things and mix your colours and see what you get. Be surprised or disappointed, you know, whichever way it goes. And then of course you can also make the colours lighter by just adding your white. And when you add the white, it does make it so much more, let me just show you on this paper, I don't think I need this one. It does make it a lot sort of, I don't know, chalky when you do this one. Same with, and so the other thing to note is when you, so like you see here, you've got a blob. If you don't want the blob, obviously move it on because it's going to dry with the blob, okay? But because I'm mixed media and I like to use it as an excuse for my imperfections, I don't really mind very much. Like I will just work around that. It's not a big deal. But yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass you over and I'm going to move over there and I'm going to carry on doing a bit of stuff while Liz entertains you.
I'm going to tell you about NITRAM, so let's do a little wiggly word.
We're going to do a little dance.
I'm actually going to leave her there for the minute and I'll grab her when I want her. Is that
Oh,
alright?
is that
easel.
the box?
Yes. No, the easel.
Oh,
I'll leave the easel there for the minute.
Yep.
We'll do NITRAM liquid first. So hi everyone. NITRAM is a very different sort of charcoal brand than you would assume. So charcoal, willow charcoal, it's wood, it's been burned very carefully to make these nice long ferrule things. They are natural woods, so they when I'm like ferruled thing, like round. Anyway, they will have natural inconsistencies within the piece of willow charcoal. Every now and then you hit on a little knot of wood or things like that. NITRAM is a bit different. They've actually created the charcoal, reduced it down to a dust, and then sort of recomposited it their own way. And by doing that, it is a very velvety, buttery charcoal with no inconsistencies through the stick. So that's the first thing you'll notice is when you get a stick of NITRAM, like that kind of thing, it is either in a square or a round shape, and it's very consistent the whole way through. And you can even see it sort of has a machining pattern to it. They're a bit guarded in how they make their special thing, the way they make their special thing, which fair. Every brand has their own thing. But yeah, NITRAM was, I think, one man's business for quite a while, and then he was going to close the company, and then someone else came in and went, no, I love the product way too much, we've got to keep this going. So he's now continuing it on. I've got two products to show you. This is the competitor, so that was just to compare to a normal piece of willow charcoal. There. Yeah. Which, as you can see, they sort of have their bendy character. You can see they come with little like nodules and things like that. Everyone's used a piece where it's all nice and good, and then they hit one point of the stick and it goes squeak, and you're like, nah. NITRAM doesn't have that, which is lovely. So yeah, that's sort of the little comparison there. I'm just going to move all my tools to the side. Whoop. Yeah, so I might actually show you the liquid first, and then we'll go back to the normal charcoal. So if I put the normal charcoal over there, this is another one. They do a liquid charcoal. So liquid charcoal is similar to the Artgraph doing a liquid graphite, except this one's actually in a tube. So it comes out a bit like an oil paint. It comes out, it's such a cool box, isn't it? You unbox it and you're just like, it looks so fancy. I learned my lesson today with this one in that when you get a new tube, you really, really, really need to pay attention to giving it a good shake before you open it up, because it will settle. I just let it out straight away, and you can see there it's quite warm and very watery, and that was because all of the charcoal pigment was at the bottom. All the actual sediment of it wasn't mixed in thoroughly, so I had one big brown smudge there, one big brown smudge there. Ignore that. When you do mix it together, you get the beautiful velvety cool black. So like more in the middle, not too warm, not too cool, right in the middle. So give it a good shake before you start. Give it a good squidge, even though the tube was so pretty a minute ago. Give it a good squidge, and then it will come out completely fine. So I'm just going to put this example there for a minute. So, lovely. When it comes out, it does sort of want to go for it, so just be a bit careful. Blip, 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 blip. There we go. And you can see there that's got more pigment in it because that had a bit of thickness to it and that had more water. So if anything, this might even be like some oil tubes with really heavy pigments. You've got to sort of change them from storing one way to storing the other way to storing the other way, just so that way continually the binder is moving through it. The binder is gum arabic, similar to watercolour paints and gouache, which is cool. And that does also mean that this will re-wet if you want it to. So if we get our brush there, that's all right. I know, I get to learn from you.
Did you mean that?
What?
Did you mean to put so much?
Yeah, it's not that much. Come on, we're gonna have a go. As you can see, it looks a bit like a really dense paint, which is lovely. It feels nice and velvety. It doesn't feel like it's sort of wanting to scrape off, but you can sort of dry off your brush quickly, and you can use it dry as well to create sort of more scratchy textures and things like that. So you can have a lot of variety. When it dries incredibly matte, which is what you'll see over here. So it is really, really like normal matte charcoal, but it's bound to the page with the gum arabic binder. So
Is it rough?
it's sort of textured, maybe like a Colour Fix Smooth paper by Art Spectrum, which we are using an Art Spectrum paper today. It is one of their mixed media papers, the 300 GSM one. So if you're interested in the paper, it's a nice sort of in the middle texture. Yeah, so the nice matte effect, I wanted to see how matte it was. I've compared it to a golden so flat matte there. And then this is another product called Black 3.0, which is meant to be the blackest black, and it's pretty darn close. So if you're using a mixed media approach or something like that and you want a really matte, flat black, liquid charcoal might be a good goer, which is really fun. Because it is the similar composition to a watercolour paint, it would follow the same normal rules of it can go with acrylic fine, it can go with watercolour and gouache fine. If it's used with oil, it needs to go underneath, not over the top. So
And
just keep that in mind.
obviously it stays dry.
Yes,
Like it's not
well,
re-wettable.
you can re-wet it. That's the thing. So if we wet our brush, because it's gum arabic like gouache and things,
Yeah. Okay.
we can go back into our blob from before, give it a bit of a swirl, and then it will
And re-wet. Okay.
go again.
Okay.
It doesn't go again as much as it did originally, unless, like, as you can see, that's still only going to sort of a 50% opacity, but it still will move if it gets quite wet and then agitated. As you can see here where it's got the nice thickness, it really sort of will fill the brush and give you that nice voidy black. And what I was really enjoying doing with that dog study was sort of giving myself some flitty marks and some water. I'm just going to make up a dog out of my head. And then,
As you do.
as you do, let's just give him a cool little, ooh.
Can I put my finger in that black?
Yeah, of course.
Thanks.
Come over here. Oh no, you've got to hold this over here. We want to see what you do.
No, I was just going to add some,
Oh, that's
look how delicious
solid.
that is.
Yeah,
so
because the rest
nice.
will have some transparency. That's nice and oomph. Yeah,
See, now suddenly it's more interesting.
I like that. I like that a lot. And again, sort of,
Alright.
if you start a bit more wishy-washy, you can gradually work your way up with the
Yeah.
opacity and go, yeah, I want that nice, delicious black nose. I want that nice.
I didn't think I needed any more things.
Yeah, working here is that problem. We've learned that, haven't
Darn.
we? And like, you can even sort of really move it around quite aggressively as much as you like. I did assume that I would be able to rub back into it with an eraser. I've got some erasers there if anyone wants to have a try. I didn't have much luck with this big blob here, mainly because I did it so heavy.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. The lighter bits you might be able to move a little bit, but I don't think it's really meant to be erased per se. Or at least this paper might not be robust enough for it to be erased. So something to keep in mind. And yeah, playing with those textures, being able to go from the rough to the wet and delicious. It's a really fun one to create marks between wet and dry, wet and dry, wet and dry. Yeah, so I've been really enjoying it for that reason. And you can just do some
That's
light
really nice.
shading.
I like that.
It's so unassuming, and again, it's just a box. You can't tell what's in the box until you get it out and have a play.
It's
So
nice.
Nitram liquid charcoal. And then the other one I wanted to show you was their standard range of charcoals. And they've got this wonderful accessory called the Nitram stylus. The stylus, which is a charcoal holder that allows you to use even the smallest little nubby bit, still functionally, which is great.
And look at your hands all doing.
And the good thing about this one, it comes with coloured stoppers. The coloured stoppers line up with the different grades of charcoal, and the starter set comes with one of each kind. So they do have, I'm just going to move the liquidy one out of the way. Can we move him over there, please?
Yep.
Yeah.
And everyone else put their fingers in it.
blue is a hard grade charcoal, HB is an orange, B is a soft, which is green, and then did I say H at the top of it? I think I said B. HB, B, and then 6mm is a round instead, which is yellow, and that's extra soft. So if I can open it up here, we can see at the moment I've got the blue loaded, which is our hard, and then you can see though that the extra soft is actually a round contoured stick, as opposed to the others all are this square fluted shape. They do sell all of these in full boxes over there, as well as individually. There's one called a minuet. That's actually a skinnier stick, and that has a different holder, which unfortunately we don't have at the moment. But you don't need to necessarily use it with a holder unless you want to. These also work really well with the sanding blocks, so you can sand them to have a really long, fine point for really, that, you know, those bar plate drawings where people do the incredibly fine plaster cast recreations in still life. I should have brought a picture. If you want to do something very, very high detail and really time consuming, and really not time consuming, but like time considered, doing a very fine point is what most of the teachers tend to teach, which is fantastic. So Stephen Bauman is one of those artists on Instagram who just does it amazingly.
Hello again, I'm Stephen Bauman, and this is going to be the second part in my series about bark drawings.
This study here I've only done about an hour on, but what I've done is I've progressed from the extra soft slowly up to the hard, and what I was using before when it was on the easel was the hard to get that extra detail in and punch in that big contrast, as opposed to here it's nice and sort of soft. I might start a new drawing just to quickly bust through all the different grades and show you how they come together. And the other fun thing you can do is of course integrate normal drawn charcoal with liquid charcoal if you want to mix them together to give yourself full freedom. So who do we want to mess with? He's still drying, so I'll mess with this one a little bit. So I don't want to start with the hard straight away, because the hard, it is much scratchier and it wants to sort of keep the line exactly where it is. What? No, I want to draw on him because he's already made with, so this is entirely made with liquid. Where's my soft one? So the extra soft, I'm just going to hold it as a stick at the moment, but you'll see when I hold the one in the holder, it's a slightly different elongation. And it also, the holder is fantastic because it gets rid of the feeling of fragility with a long stick of charcoal. You know, you just feel like you're going to snap it straight away. This one, it really kind of feels like holding a magic wand, which is awesome because you're holding something nice and solid. You can push it wherever you want. You can hold it like that. You can hold it long. I tend to hold it long like a paintbrush. So I'm an oil painter by trade. Oil painting, they always recommend, you know, don't get down there like writing thing, actually move it back so you're using your whole arm as you draw, and that way it's a bit more of a free movement, a bit more not sort of tight control, a little bit more loose, which is lovely. So you can make these sort of, oh you're right, I will use another piece of paper I think. Yeah, because that way I can leave that as a liquid example. That's all right. What am I drawing? What am I drawing? Can I borrow my sergeant picture? That picture before was based off a singer-sergeant portrait. I'm going to borrow her again if I may. Oh, thank you. Love a reference. Actually, let's do two quickly. Now, that's the hard one. So as you can see with the hard one, see how it sort of wants to really sort of stay where there? It's not that much that's resisting. I was using very light pressure. If I use hard pressure, it's immediately like, I want to be there and I don't want to move. As opposed to, if I use the soft, which I'm going to hold quite tightly so I don't snap it, he's just real buttery and he wants to move everywhere, which is lovely. So it doesn't take a lot to sort of build up that cloud and fill the paper. And then you've got this beautiful movable mass, which is nice, which with your kneadable eraser, you can just straight away sort of carve into and bring back. But this guy doesn't want to shift as easily. So this is where you want to move from something that moves and is dynamic and flowy. You can't get it super dark by itself. You need to move up the grades to get to something that'll be really nice and dark and robust. So if I quickly...
Blending with your fingers. I've never used charcoal.
Oh, absolutely. I tend to use my fingers a lot. Okay. The downside of using fingers with charcoal is fingers secrete oil. So that means that it's not a super smooth movement. Yep. And that's where things like the big soft sponges, so this is soft with 2 Fs. They make these sponges for the pan pastels, but they work perfectly well with charcoal. And this is already quite filled with charcoal from me smushing it around on there. It will just allow you really smooth blends. Nice. And it will remove that sort of the finger stopping halfway through a motion and leaving like an inconsistent mark. The other one that's really good for blending is of course your paper tortillions. So a lot of people use those for more accurate smudging, so you can smudge in an actual spot that you want to smudge, and again that doesn't have any oil like your fingers do, so that means you have more control. So yeah, fingers for me are, when I start the picture, I use a lot of fingers,
Yep.
and then later I'll use fingers to actually lift off a bit of charcoal. So if I just want to lift a little bit off, if I grab her again, because this side of the face is very, very filled with charcoal. This side's only got a little bit. If I go through and just use my finger, see how that's actually lifting it off? Yeah, as opposed to adding it on.
Yep.
And then you just sort of cloud it out, and then you can go back in and be more specific. If again I bring back that hard one, so this is the blue, the hard one, this is what I was using to gradually build up some darks over the top.
Yep.
Another thing you'll notice about the stylus, because it's a tube, he's a bit of a musical boy. The harder you go, the more you can hear the scratchy noise, because I think it's amplifying the noise. So he's a very ASMR, I make drawing noises thing, which is why I was trying to be really quiet over there, because I remembered we're recording audio and I'm like, I don't want to ruin that, hopefully. So just something to note, that's why it sounds loud, it's because of the tube, but you could always shove a tissue up there, I reckon, and that would calm him down. So that would be another option. But yeah, anytime you want sort of a dark mark, so now I can get into this other eye, because I was leaving this eye until we were all together. You can just absolutely start to build it up. And of course there's, 200 different ways you can draw with charcoal. And there I was using my finger just to buff out the marks, because right now I don't really want little lines, but I do want them to be in that one specific place. And then I just sort of gradually build up the form of that eyebrow. And then I can be much more specific where I want this eye ridge to come. And build that in. And sort of, gradually build. So charcoal, it's kind of like clay. You sort of build a foundation and then you can keep adding and adding and adding. Or you can use it in a very lyrical way where you just use the soft or the sort of B and just absolutely go for it with one line and just let it sort of do what it wants to do. So there's lots of different ways you can use it. This is a very oil painting-y way to use charcoal, because again I'm working from the back to the front, which is a way that you can do oil painting. And here I keep changing my hand because I'm not working upright. I'm finding it more comfortable to use it sometimes like a pen, but you can use it both ways. And see, that's now a nice
When you have like a
colour.
reflection,
Yeah.
how's the best way to create a
I tend to
reflection
like
in
with
charcoal?
I tend to start with a cloud and then lift it out. So again, like sort of, are you talking about like the highlight on the bridge of the nose?
Like in the eyes where it's
oh,
really
those bits.
small,
Yeah. So I normally lift out as much charcoal as I possibly can with a kneadable eraser. So I've got like a
Oh,
nice
wow.
little dot there. And then you can use a sort of pencil eraser, like a vinyl eraser. is the word I
those
want to
tiny
do.
little ones.
Yeah, the Tombow ones.
Oh my God, Deb, I'm going to need a list of things.
Yeah, I know.
That's what we're here for. Always, you can always come in the shop and go, what do we use?
Oh,
Yeah, so that's the Tombow 0.3 Mono Zero eraser. So this one's got tiny, he's great. He's got tiny little refills, and heaps of people love these for all different kinds of art, because it just means you don't have to sit there carving up your normal eraser to get a tiny point. It's always a tiny point. It's like a mechanical pencil. It's a long, skinny one. They're just behind you above those above the contes, and they come in a little rectangle shape as well. This is the little round dude. But yeah, it just
Do you use
lifts
them
it
with
straight out.
pastels as well? Soft
You
pastel?
can, absolutely. The toothier the paper, the harder it is to shift,
Yeah.
but they definitely do lift out. And you can see there, like where I've gone over the paper a lot, it's harder to lift,
Yeah.
but you just keep building it up. And the more I take it away with this, the more I build up the charcoal, I can create that balance. And of course, when you're on the easel, you're less likely to lean on your work. So
Yeah.
that's something to keep in mind. The other thing you can do, of course, is get some glassine paper or something like that and put that down if you want to lean on your work. So just something to keep in mind with the soft materials. So the last bit, I just wanted to try quickly drawing something with this charcoal and integrating in the wet and using them together. So I think if you guys want to have a go, we'll set you up some paper at the front here. If you want to have a go at all the Artgraph stuff, absolutely come up and have a play. And I'm just going to work here under the camera, just having a go here and just ask us questions. This is what we're here for. Beautiful. Thank you all for coming. Yay.
Thank you, Liz Deb.
Woo! Thank you, Kat.
I've never been interested in using charcoal because
Really?
it's so messy, but
Nah,
now I'm like,
it's fine.
I have to
Just
use
wash your hands
charcoal.
after. Just wash your hands after. Leave the cup of tea slightly too far away so you can't pick it up, and then you're fine. Yeah, so underneath that one, if you just want to now that top one's blobby. Give me a sec.
Is this a raise or not?
The liquid or the normal? Or the Artgraph? Hold on, Deb, I'll do it.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't want it to run more. Yeah, see, it wants to run. Well, that's the idea, so you guys can all pick it up and have a go. Rather than
See, you
choosing
can
it.
also make dots.
But all this is dry.
Try the white.
Of course, yes.
And can I put it on
It's
something?
that sort of velvety finish.
So it seemed to look like it was
And it is
waxy.
charcoal.
Is that
Thanks, so we don't
like
get
No,
it.
it is. I've just sort of like, I don't mind